Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Gabe Miller Music. Today, we are going to take a look at the making of my latest song. This is Pursuit of Happiness, featuring Sean Holton, and in fact, this was a full-on collaboration between him and me. Real quick, before I get started, just want to remind you all who maybe haven't heard yet that I am on a new upload schedule, so from now on, it's a new song every 2 weeks, and then a new Audio Geek video on the weeks without songs, so you still get new content every Monday. It's just a bit of a different format because school is hectic. Oh, and also, you might be wondering why I'm not wearing headphones and wearing the earbuds instead. It's because I'm wearing a hat, and hats and headphones don't work together very well. So I'm going to go into the making of. So first of all, the creative process. I approached Sean with the idea initially and kind of explained to him what I wanted the song to be about, and he got to work. He wrote the thing. So basically what he sent me was an electric piano track in the form of a MIDI track and a vocal track, and he sent those both to me in a Logic session file because he's a Logic user as well. So that's all he sent me, and I actually, as you heard on the song, I actually ended up using the electric piano a good bit, and so yeah, that's basically what he sent me. He sent me just that, and it was up to me then to build the entire song around that vocal and that electric piano track. And I always could have changed out the electric piano track if I wanted to, but I actually really liked the vibe it got, so I kept it. And I love electric piano. There's a lot going on here, and so I'm gonna see if I can break this down into a way that hopefully makes sense. So start off with this part right here. Alright, so let's start off with the drums. The drums stay somewhat consistent in the sound and stuff pretty much throughout the entire song. So drum that first. I think this is the kick. This is the kick. That's the kick. Hooray. So let's start off with the kick. And as you can hear, a lot of the hi-hats are panned all over the place, which was very much intentional. So you have the open hat. Hear that? And then also with this kind of shakerish. Once again, a good bit of panning stuff around to both get some separation, some width, and just because it sounds cool. So that's the drums, basically. And then we'll move on to the bass. So that is a massive patch with a bit of EQ to boost the bass. And my secret weapon, well, my not so secret weapon, the bass amp plugin that's built in Logic. I use this thing a ton. So here's what it sounded like before it. Here's after. Hear that low end introduced back into it, and it just kind of warms it up in a way that I really dig. And a gain plugin to just make sure that it's in mono, because you usually want to keep your basses in mono. And last but not least, my favorite plugin of all time, or one of my very favorite plugins of all time, the Lfo Tools. So basically what this is, it's an easier way to sidechain or get that pumping sound. So whereas I would have to set up a ghost kick and a compressor and sidechain and all that and tweak the parameters, this makes it really easy. You just put the plugin on there. So here's what it's like without. Here's with. That's not the right button. I'll build it up by the rest of the... Oh, and then the other thing that you also hear in the intro. This is playing with a new plugin that was introduced in an update to Logic, Alchemy. And I've not had time to really dive into exactly how this thing works. So basically all I did was just flipping through presets until I found something that sounded cool. But so far, you can do some pretty cool stuff in it. So cut the low end so it wouldn't fight with the bass once again, and then sidechain it. So next on to the melodic stuff. And once I'm through with this, I'll build the whole thing up. So we got... Nope. Another alchemy patch. And then the most important thing for the chords is this massive patch that I built. And it's basically a super saw with a good bit of processing on it. So first of all, it sounds like that. EQ. Bit crusher. Reverb. Sidechaining. And then if you've also got the electric piano in there subtly. That's also sidechained. And then lastly, this little detail right here, which is kind of subtle, but I like it, is this little synth right here going. It's basically a massive saw with like a ridiculous amount of vibrato on it. So that is the main deal. And then for the... I'll go into the chorus. Hop over here. It's pretty much all the same elements, and I'll just build it up. I'll loop it here. So first of all, the vocal. Why do I believe? That is a good amount of processing out, so I'll take it all off and then put it back on to show you what I did. Why do I believe that there is something else? So I got a de-esser on there just to cut down on the sibilance, and EQ. Cutting off the low end mostly. Why do I believe? That vocal performance was very dynamic, so have a compressor to even it out. Why do I believe? With a fairly intense amount of compression. A little more... That's not doing anything. Ha! And echo. Why do I believe that there is... One more low cut, just because I decided I needed it. Why do I believe? And then I have this gain plugin on here, and basically what that is it's so I can automate the volume, but still be able to adjust the volume fader because I'm automating the gain plugin, not the volume automation. So it's basically like a second volume fader, but then I can still move this one around. So that's what that is. So now I'm going to mute this for a second and go into building up this thing. There's really not a whole lot here, although it sounds massive, in my humble opinion. And that's the thing, is that less is always more, so if the temptation is to layer 10 bajillion elements, resist it. Or if you do, at least go in and delete the ones that you don't need afterwards. That's very important with this kind of music. And even then, like over here, it seemed like it was a lot, but everything had a purpose for being there. Everything very much added to the sound I was going for. And so whenever you layer, make sure that you're doing it intentionally. And that's a lesson I still need to learn. You know, I'm preaching at myself here. So first of all, we start off with the same kick and the same snare. Let me show the elements that's doing most of the heavy lifting first of all. That little bass, a massive patch. It's the same massive super saw. That's really doing a lot of it. And I felt like it was missing something, so I ended up coming back to this alchemy patch. Without it. With it. Kind of adds a lot, really. That was one of the things that really made this whole thing come together. And then finally the bass. Same bass from earlier. And this is more of a music thing than a technical thing. But notice how the chords usually end right when the snare kicks in. So the snare, and then you have this beat of silence, and it just breaks it up nicely. So you got silence. This took a ton of messing around to get exactly the sound I was going for. Like, that was hard to do, really. It's pretty simple, but it's a difficult thing to get, really. Or at least for me. Waiting for someone. And last but not least, the intro, which is, of course, the electric piano, is very prominent. That's got a delay on it. And then the other main element is just this pluck. So let's go into that. This is a massive patch. And that has an EQ on it that is got a low pass filter that is set to lift. So let me show you that. Wrong EQ. There we go. By itself, this is what it sounds like. It's got some reverb on it, so here's it without the reverb. Well, here's what it started out like. Then some EQ. Then some reverb. And then finally, the low pass filter, lifting it up as it goes along. Why am I in? And then as it goes on, I also have the cutoff automated, so that opens up. And then along with that, I have the super saw with just a basic high cut filter set to open up. And that transitions it nicely from the really chill pluck into the super energy-filled super saw. Without that, it would have been a very clunky transition. And then finally, the kick in the snare. That's not the kick in the snare. They both have low cut and high cut filters on them, automated around a bit. Once again, helping to transition between the chill end and the high energy end. And then finally, another pluck layered in. And that's sidechained a bit. And that's not really doing a whole lot, just adding a bit more sound. Alrighty, that is it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. And if you produce music and are looking to produce this style, found it helpful for you for your own productions, I'm Gabe, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.